documentaries going over budget. In a way, it makes Hayao seem more charming.
Objectivity and honesty just started falling apart, and it felt confused, and
I'm arguing that it's not that he's losing his mind as a person.
friends and colleagues died.
Yeah,
It's the
but
people
there's
I wanna
also a
talk
lot
to.
of bad people. You're assuming that you have more pure and artistic intentions
I
than
do.
those people.
No, I appreciate it. I just battle it. I'm gonna throw you out the window.
Somebody's collecting dust.
Oh my god, no, not on camera.
Welcome.
Welcome back to Kilonova Diary. We're at number 10. What have you been up to, Antonia?
I've been cleaning. What have you been up to?
I have been setting up our updating our workstations. Almost done. The last few bits of equipment are coming in next week. So then in 2 weeks everything should be ready. Anything you've been thinking about recently? We didn't really prepare any topics this time. That's kind of interesting.
I've been thinking about lots of stuff. Nothing's coming to mind right now, though.
Alright. Well. Guess we'll start with the norm. Welcome back to Kilonova Diary. This is basically a thing we do to build creative endurance so that we're constantly trying to think and create with the aspiration to continue forward. Insert more monologue. And we do updates on our film progresses and talk about what's in our minds, general thoughts. It's kind of basic. It's supposed to be basic. It's just supposed to be something we can throw out.
Yeah. Recently, I've been watching documentaries of like some of the more well-known filmmakers, the modern age, like 70s and up. So like Steven Spielberg and Brian De Palma, and then Martin Scorsese, and then through that inadvertently, I guess, George Lucas and a little bit of Francis Ford Coppola, and it's been cool to see like their rise to power, I guess, and how they're all sort of like indie filmmakers, except for Spielberg, because the kind of movies he wanted to make ended up being the movies the studios wanted to make. Not necessarily always. Like, I guess he was famous for going over budget, and before Indiana Jones, well, George Lucas like had the idea for Indiana Jones, and Spielberg wanted to do a Bond movie at the time. But George Lucas was like, I've got something better than a Bond movie, which was basically Indiana Jones plot. And then they were bringing it to studios,
Kind of is
and
Bond.
the studios were saying, we might do the movie, but with a different director, because Spielberg was so famous for going over budget so often and being kind of a hassle. So they were going to do the movie, but without him. But then it ended up working out. We were able to get a studio to back it. And then it was a big success. And I guess they were thinking those movies were supposed to be like, really just like, kind of like cinematic crack. Just like, you know, you're watching a movie, it's kind of silly, and it's not supposed to like take you out of the fact that you're watching a movie at all. They explain it a lot better. But
What documentary is it called?
Spielberg.
Is the Brian De Palma one called Brian De Palma documentary?
It's called De Palma.
De Palma, okay. Documentary I watched, and then Tona watched as well, recently was the Hayao Miyazaki and the Heron. Not to be mistaken by Hayao Miyazaki and his harem. But it's a really good documentary. Basically tracks like kind of like a 10-year span, but it's mainly focused on his mental state during the creation of The Boy and the Heron, because he started back in like 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
So it was like a
like
long span.
2017.
I don't know if he started on Boy and the Heron back then, but when did The Wind Rises come out?
The Wind Rises came out in 2014, I think.
Really? Why the hell am I signed out of
These are
Letterboxd?
guesses. Educated guesses.
Sign me back in. Let me look up. 2013?
2013, I was close.
Holy shit. That is not what I thought.
I think that the documentary started on him around like 2017 or 2016. I can't remember which exactly, but I remember thinking that, oh, that was like right when I was graduating school. High school.
It also grabs footage from like his really early days when he was a lot younger, and then obviously photographs from when they were really young in their career. But it was really, really well made. Like as a documentary, it was incredible. The amount of cutting back and forth in time and giving the audience visual kind of visual cues for what, I don't know, it was like a 2-track story. Watching the documentary, you were watching and listening to what said person was talking about during the like kind of documentation of Ghibli and Miyazaki, but then there was also flashes of his like films, and those flashes of his films were overlaid during that talking of whatever person, and that was giving you a kind of double consciousness of kind of empathizing with what the present is for who's talking, and then also with what they're trying to describe emotionally, and like the subconscious and I don't know, subtext of what it translates to with the visuals of his films or other footage.
Yeah,
it was just really smart.
Really ruthless too. Like they were not afraid to suggest what Hayao might be thinking, even though he said something completely opposite or whatever. Like I thought that was really interesting. Like they were not afraid to pull out the subtext, even if it was contradicting what the person was saying, because Hayao a lot of times would say something or that would like kind of downplay how he was obviously feeling, and like they had the footage, so they could just show how he's feeling with the footage.
Yeah, exactly.
And in a way it makes Hayao seem more charming, so it does paint him in a good light. Like
yeah,
I don't know why there's a certain charm about that, but like an older man who sort of is like kind of more stoic and like witty, I guess. I don't know.
Take notes.
But you can like see visually what they're thinking and feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very like objective point of view documentary, which like kind of being produced from the same studio, I'm assuming, is definitely pretty bizarre. And I feel like I don't know if this is accurate, but it might be due to the age of the people they're documenting, like not having enough time or energy to like check the documentary to make sure they're being put in the right light, or maybe they don't care or something. But it definitely felt like she was saying pretty ruthless with objectivity and honesty, and like also what might have been a mild editing suggestion, like the director and editor of the documentary might have been trying to contort a narrative out of the footage, although it may be 100% accurate. There could be a little bit of editing deception that I'm not aware of, but I don't really think that's possible because they weren't really messing with things too much. It was just like really subtle. Here's what we think is going on in their heads, and we're just going to show you. We're not going to tell you. We're just going to show you.
Instead of like being
you can put it
simply
together
about
yourself.
like what they think is going on, it felt like they were rather showing like letting the footage tell the story.
That's what I was
I think
just
that's
saying.
like the most honest form of filmmaking is to just let what is actually on the screen tell the story and not contort it. So it feels like that feeling of let's let the footage be honest is coming through more so than any kind of contortion.
But editing does contort. I was just trying to make a note of that.
Well, yeah, it does, like, in the sense that it manipulates. I
mean, there was just constant juxtaposition.
Yeah,
That's
the
all
juxtaposition creates feeling. That's true. That creates a certain perception. It guides you. But I guess when you said contort, I thought that you were saying like the footage itself was being contorted to like meet like out of place. Instead of out of place, I think there was just a lot like juxtapositions being made that was like, creating a certain person's perception of the footage, but not like they were like cutting something together that like didn't go together at all.
AI render of him saying the N-word.
But then again, you could do that. But I feel like for the kind of documentary that they were making, it would be immoral to lie.
Yeah.
Because they were so relying heavily on the footage that was being taken.
Yeah.
To like cut like a image of him crying about something completely different would be really messed up.
Yeah, they mostly let the people speak too. Like that was, like there was basically no narrator or guide. It was basically just, here's these people and what they're saying, which is extremely meditative. The Kingdom of Dreams and Madness, which is their first documentary to my knowledge, came out during the wind rises. That was like documenting the wind rises. That one was my favorite up until now. And I think it's just because this one is, the new one is a lot more, I don't know, it feels like it's facing death a lot more. Obviously, if you watch it. But he's just struggling a lot more in this one. Less of like a climaxing in his career and more of like a him in the abyss trying to scrounge for parts, figure out what's going on in his head, which I personally relate to more, even though The Wind Rises is currently my favorite Miyazaki film. It's mainly just because it's a comfort. It just feels like a very gentle story. Hopeful. I like it. Anyways. I'm rendering a new cut right now. We're on 6.4. I think.
Oh, did you just, sorry, start spacing out. Did you
6.4.
just talk about how Hayao Miyazaki was talking about how he's going to keep making films until he dies?
No, I was just, when I mentioned death, I was talking about how Hayao Miyazaki and the Heron is a lot more focused around the concept of death than the Kingdoms of Dreams and Madness,
Right.
which was his previous last film. The Wind Rises.
I really recommend you watch that Hayao Miyazaki and the Heron because it feels like you get to watch like an artist grow up at a late stage in their life.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful and
I cried a
hopeful for
lot.
anybody who ever felt like they can't change the older they get, you know, or like their life, like they don't have much to discover left of their life, of themselves.
Yeah, I didn't really like The Boy and the Heron initially. I've only seen it once. I saw it in IMAX when it was out. It felt super unorganized and, I don't know, just unsuccessful. Quality-wise, visually, blah, 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 it's obviously fantastic. They don't fail at that. But, I don't know, just story-wise. Yeah, just story-wise. Thanks for checking. Just story-wise, I didn't really enjoy how scrambled it got. It just started falling apart, and it felt confused. And now, after watching the documentary, I have validated all of my opinions. I was like, oh, I was right. He is losing his mind. That was my Letterboxd rating. It was like, I just think he's losing his mind. And I was bummed out because I was like, I gotta watch a Ghibli movie in theaters for the first time.
Sad that you were bummed out.
Yeah, I
did feel like
I
he was
bummed out.
maybe just being like, I don't know, a bit more honest, I guess is.
Well, yeah, but he's losing his mind.
But
I mean, if he is more honest
but
while
like
he's losing his
not
mind.
like he's losing his
Okay.
mind, like he's going senile in old age, which is how you're making it seem.
I mean, he
You
is.
said it. I think he was more so.
He's not like unfunctioning, but he's obviously deconstructing a lot of his himself and reaching a later age. And I don't know. It isn't really necessary.
Discovering his mind. He's on a journey in his mind rather than losing it.
Well, I think it was his fear of death that was causing him to rush the script. And he also doesn't script, so that creates a problem. And before, when he was just playing in his head, as he described, and pulling things randomly, ideas would float to the surface, and he would grab them and make a story, not scripting and all that. It would make sense.
Ideas were floating to the surface, but I think he was putting so much emotionally powerful things into it that, like, he wanted to do it justice in its right way, and a lot of the right way was lost on the audience. Like, certain parts of the story that made sense to him, and, like, the documentary kind of goes through certain parts of the story, and, like, who he was, people he lost in his life that he was placing into those characters and whatnot, and he had, like, specific emotions that he was trying to, like, get out in those scenes, and I think he was trying to find his way and do the best he could. I guess, like, I'm arguing that it's not that he's losing his mind as a person, but rather that he's on a different artistic discovery. And that might be messy looking, but it wasn't bad, I was confused, but I didn't think it was bad.
Well, I just don't like unorganized stories, but
I just think it was organized to him, not to the audience.
I don't think so. I think that I'm excited to rewatch the film with further insight that the documentary has given me onto where he was at and his journey during making the film. so I can have further empathy for how he was struggling in creating it. I was resonating with it heavily, the documentary. I also resonate with the struggling to figure out a story thing. So I had empathy. I think that an unorganized story is unsatisfying to me.
Because we're trained to have organized stories.
Yes, because I feel like that's how, like, I understand that you might view this as like I'm following a norm, but an analogy that might help you understand where I'm coming from, which you might already know where I'm coming from, is
Them
like
or me?
you.
Oh.
Is like if someone did a research paper and they did a study and they gathered a bunch of people and they got a bunch of data, or they went out to the rainforest and gathered a bunch of data about some species, blah blah blah. Someone did a study, a scientific study, and they have all this data and they decide to throw it on the paper chronologically. The paper is illegible. It's terrible. What the fuck is the point of an unorganized paper? It's a scientific study. I think we should, most of the time, we should treat stories, especially ones that are anchored so heavily to someone's mind and mental state, like a scientific study. That's how I would like to approach it. Others can have their own opinions and contribute their art in a different way, just like Miyazaki did. But I think that if he wasn't as scared of death and as rushed to make it as he was talking about in the documentary, and as pressured and as scared, he would have had time to reconstruct and maybe add further to his journey of learning and organize and figure out what was actually happening. Because he did a lot of rewrites, and I do a lot of rewrites, everyone does, but like, I think The Boy and the Heron got robbed of a lot more of a glorious situation. I believe it would have truly deserved the Oscar if it was an organized story.
Well, Oscars are also given for craftsmanship rather than just the story itself.
I know.
So,
I was just saying
in
truly
that
deserved,
case,
like,
his film. I mean, obviously it's a political thing. So, like, if people are like, dude, Studio Ghibli movies are gas, and people have been saying that for like 3 years now, and then he makes a movie, then like, okay, we can give him
the first time in like
But like in
10
general,
years.
you don't see a lot of people making movies, animated movies, the way that they're making movies.
Mhm.
So that alone might deserve an Oscar.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
but
I think I'm just bummed about this story.
I still think though, I don't think it was robbed of anything. Nobody else could create that story except for Hayao Miyazaki, because that was his story. And if it was messy, then we still got the expression coming from the artist.
Mhm.
Like, we got his mental state.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it doesn't need to. A story never stands alone, you know? Like, we have so much outer context of a story to the point where him saying, this is what's from my mind, this is how I can express myself, this is my love, this is my fears, and then us being able to watch this documentary or just like know how old he is, the life he's lived, it gives us more context on how to be human, how to live.
Yeah.
And in that way, I think it is successful in what he desired to do. I think it's a shame to say that the film was robbed of something. If he himself feels that way, then he might feel compelled to keep going,
I hope he makes another movie.
I think he will. He said he would.
I mean, if he survives. Like 6 or 7 of his like friends and colleagues died in the like during the documentary's span of time.
I guess it
Like
depends then
he's
if you
old.
think it's not his
He
movie, if
smokes
he dies
multiple
before
times
it's
a day.
finished.
He's not exactly healthy.
A lot of people smoke and don't and live to be like in their hundreds.
That's true.
Well, not a lot of people, but I've heard a few. Close people. So
I hope
it probably
he
happens
lives.
more often than you think.
I hope he lives another 40 years. I think that would be awesome. I want to meet him and talk to him.
Yeah, me too.
I need to learn. Is it Japanese or
heroes.
Mandarin? What the fuck is it?
Japanese.
Japanese. I need to learn Japanese so I can talk to him and like have an actual based conversation. So I need to learn like all of Japanese and not just hello.
Yeah, I wonder if he knows English.
I've wondered that about Ano because I really want to talk to Ano. Really badly.
They probably know some English.
Traveling English.
Yeah.
Which is not what I want to learn. I want to learn everything. That's one of the main things holding me back.
I would love to learn Japanese.
It's because like, yeah, I think the reason I want to learn Japanese over all other languages is not because of whatever cultural obsession or whatever. It's the fact that that's the place I would most likely either live in for a few years, live in for several years, or travel to. Nowhere else in the world do I really care significantly for being engrossed in a different culture. Like Europe sounds fun, but like Japanese
with art and culture.
My weeaboo
I feel
girlfriend.
like it probably does for you too, because you don't actually know what it's like to be in Japan. We have
Well,
an
it's the
outside look
people.
of it. Yeah,
It's the
but
people
there's
I wanna
also a
talk
lot
to.
of bad people.
Well,
So either way, you have a romanticized
Dude,
vision of it.
come on.
Either way, you have a romanticized vision of it.
Yeah, I do, but there's like, two main people I want to talk to there.
I'm saying don't demonize like romanticizing other cultures, because everybody does that when they're an outsider.
I guess I was fearful of being lumped in with a group of Japanese fetishizers who have the same color skin that I do, and I don't want to be lumped in with that because my intentions are more artistic and pure with artist to artist. I'm a what?
You're assuming that.
I am assuming that other people would assume that of me. I assume the negative of all people perceiving me.
You're assuming that you have more pure and artistic intentions
than
those people.
Ego. I just want to bond and make art with them. That is what I want to do, and be genuine about it.
Yeah.
Like almost to just like a business relationship level. Like I don't want to like. I don't know. I want to make something. I want to see what Ano makes on his deathbed in the same way that Miyazaki made Boy and the Heron.
I don't think Miyazaki's on his deathbed, by the way. Miyazaki is like...
He was mentally on his deathbed the entire documentary because he was...
70s. He was not mentally on his deathbed. He was thinking about death because he was losing a lot of people in his life. It's not mentally on your deathbed.
Yeah, see, dude, he said, dude, the amount of times in the film he said, like, I could die in, like, 5 minutes, basically, was, like, upwards of 10, 20 times, dude.
What does it mean to be then mentally on your deathbed versus literally on your
Assuming
deathbed?
you might die any day. Seeing death around you 24/7, watching your friends die.
I could mentally be on my deathbed right now if I assumed that I could die any day.
Okay, well, then, no, because he has proof in front of him, his old age.
His old age, but 70...
Every day he looks in the mirror, sees someone who's old, looks older, and he sees the friends that has died recently who also look like him. Therefore, he's mentally on his deathbed. He's assuming death is coming for him, and he verbalized that several times.
Sorry, I don't mean to argue so much with Harrison right now. But I guess I would just say that I think when someone's mentally on their deathbed, it's when they actually perceive that they could die. But for him, like, the only way that he's healthy. He's a healthy individual. His friends had other issues going on. Like, at least, like, most of them did. I don't remember, like, the main one who also does films, but the one who came to visit, who was his mentor, had cancer, and had cancer for a while. And then the woman who does his coloring, she also had cancer for a while.
Spoilers.
And then the one who was, like, his rival and his friend, I don't remember how they said he died.
Yeah, I don't think they really said. I don't remember, at least. I was mainly focused on crying.
But I mean, like, yes, you would. Okay, like, mentally on your deathbed, I guess I'm trying to defend him. I think, like, instead of being
what?
like he could die
He
at
would
any
agree with
moment,
me.
why wouldn't we say that he's full of life?
He is full of life, but he's mentally on his deathbed. It's your mental state and your age correlating, I suppose. This is a draft of a concept. Also, the reason I'm shushing her is because it's more editing work for me to have to pull down audio levels.
Yeah.
I already have to pull her audio levels down across the board.
I agree that, what? Why are you doing that?
Sorry.
It's bothering me.
We start beef on camera. I'm sorry.
I think that Miyazaki would agree with me.
We both have different Miyazaki we're projecting.
When his friend...
We, like, battle them
Let
like
me talk, please.
To me several times, whatever.
Yeah, because you talk for a very, very long time and then don't let me respond because you want to say something before I might correct you and say that thing, and then you just keep going, so it's not even a conversation.
Okay.
I don't know what the audience thinks. They might think I'm a bitch who interrupts too much.
I don't think anyone thinks you're a bitch, Tommy. That's an extreme word.
Don't tell me I'm being extreme.
She's a bitch, guys.
Sorry. You can say your bit. It's just that I was waiting to say what I wanted to say because I was letting you talk.
Proceed. I already forgot. I don't know what I was thinking. It's gone.
It's like on a battlefield.
Oh. Like, if we both summon different Miyazakis, the different ones we're projecting.
Oh, that's
Mine
funny.
thinks what I'm thinking, yours thinks what you're thinking, and then we start fighting with them. Joysticks.
Okay, but I'm actually not contradicting what Harrison said because Miyazaki was talking about, like, you know, being afraid or feeling like he could go any moment mentally on deathbed. I don't know why that bothers me so much because it makes you feel, I feel like when the mental goes to the deathbed, the physical will go soon after. So I would rather manifest and say that Miyazaki is young and he has at least 20 more years to go before he might have to worry about dying. And he said something to one of his, to the mentor when he was leaving, that he's like, you have to live or something. You have to live forever. That's what he said to him.
I don't remember that,
And
but I like
think
that.
there's something, if you really don't want someone to pass away, you believe, I think, that they won't. Not believe that they would. That's all.
Is it not more impressive to assume someone's gonna die and then keep living?
What's impressive about that?
It means that I give up, whatever. That was a useless rebuttal.
So, on the accounts that I argued with Harrison, leave a comment in the comment section about whether or not you think I was being argumentative for no reason or whatnot. I like constructive criticism, and I don't like subconsciously manipulating people or situations, so please catch me if I was doing that.
Alright. More in the comments section. Please criticize me equally.
He doesn't like constructive criticism, though.
No,
hates it.
I appreciate it. I just battle it because it is my existence on the line. And if I don't defend it, then I don't
He's
care.
very attached to his existence. He has
It
a
is
long
true.
way to go in his ego lost journey.
Yeah, after this camera turns off, guys, you're never going to see Tona again.
No, don't.
I'm going to throw you out the window.
Somebody come
with
here
all my...
right now. This video's live.
Alright. Anything else?
You're alright.
Thanks. I'm glad you think that I'm alright. That's pretty cool.
You're a cocky son of a bitch, though.
I'm a cocky son of a bitch.
Did that feel right?
I'd say I'm pretty confident, yeah, in the areas that I'm confident in.
Cocky.
Which are pretty up and down and left and right.
Yeah, he learned how to illustrate and design in multiple different styles. Successfully what are you looking at? This is from my head. Successfully co-created a 23-minute short film, designed and ran a website, studied philosophy, religion, psychology, fellatio, visual and written storytelling, and various sciences. Fellatio. Wrote a 95,000-word manuscript that is collecting dust.
No, it's not. It's literally being edited right now, you whore.
I was just trying to tease you, to get at you.
You already said I study fellatio.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I'm gonna go watch... I'm gonna go force my mom to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion so I can transform her brain. So, overall successful video diary. Only like under 20 minutes, which is good. We need to be hitting lower numbers. Alrighty. Have a good night, everybody. Unless we're doing chess ASMR, which right now is our most popular video.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Oh my god, no, not on camera. Tona. Is it okay?